Okay, in 2019, Wicklow Wolf Brewing Company brought out this beer, Pointy Shoes, and it caused a bit of fuss in the community. Good fuss, because it was fantastic. It marked their 5th year anniversary, and this time round we're going to check out their latest edition. It's only 4 or 5 days out in the wild. It's part of their endangered species. So Pointy Shoes 2020 up next. Let's check it out. Hey, welcome back to Views on Brews. I am Brendan, and this beer is Pointy Shoes 2020. It's part of Wicklow Wolf's very limited batch series. They have an endangered species series all based on their Wicklow Wolf idea. It's 12%. It is bourbon barrel aged Imperial stout. It's their 6th, I don't know if you can see that, it's their 6th anniversary, which they are now having in their Newtown Mount Kennedy brewery, which is just a little bit further south, outside of Bray. I think Bray is where the main operation was, but now they've just moved into a bigger premises. They've got their own canning line, a lot more space, and that's just what happens when you have a really good brewery and everybody wants your beer. And the more people that want it, the more really limited small batch amounts of beer like this one that are 12%, the more they become scarce. And part of the endangered species idea is that they are rare, and so as soon as they're released, they're gone, they're snapped up. So this one came into my local off license yesterday, and the entire amount sold out yesterday. And that same sort of story has been going on all throughout the country. Pretty much as soon as it hit the shelves, it was sold. And it adds a little bit of fun and a little bit of rarity to the whole thing. So, like last year, I bought 6 of these, and I had to give one away to a guy who couldn't get one and was absolutely devastated. So, gave one away, and I bought 6 because I just felt like at the time, I think it was Ireland's strongest beer that are being produced, and it was 12.25%, and it just felt to me like they'd only canned 1,700 cans. It says it's a limited edition there, and I thought people are really going to want to invest in the idea of the rarity and the scarcity of these beers. So I bought 6 of them and I squirreled them away, and here we are X amount of months later, and this is my last one. I'm not going to open it on this occasion, because if I open 2 cans of 12+% beer, I am going to be smashed. It is a school night for me. I'm up early in the morning, but I am going to open this one now. This year I only got 2 of these because they're just really hard to get hold of, and we kind of had to share them out with the members in the beer club and the people that go into the shops to buy them. So really I was lucky to get 2, so I'm quite happy with that. This is numbered, it's 673 out of 2,000 cans. Last year it was 1,700 cans. This year it's 2,000 cans. It says best before of August of 22, so they're giving it like a 2-year best before, but I'm sure it'll be even better as it goes along. So what I find about these barrel aged beers and these really big percentage beers is that as soon as they get sold, it's nice to get at least a couple of them. Drink one and sell one. If you sell one and drink one, and you remember what it tasted like I'm about to do now, and if you can remember in like 6 to 12 months what it tasted like, what you're going to end up usually with is a much more mellow, much more rounded, like a melded flavour that's just a whole bunch more chilled out and mellow, and it just feels a lot less vibrant, but a lot more smooth drinking. But that doesn't mean it's any better by any measure. I am noticing this one is 0.25% less than last year's one. What else does it say about it? Love the can label there. You can just have a quick look at that with the wolf on it. There's a story you can look up on Wicklow Wolf. It is number 12 out of their endangered species range of beers, and they're all limited batches. This one, I don't think it was part of their endangered species, but it made sense. On the back of this one, though, I brought this can out here because it has a little bit of spiel on how Pointy Shoes, the name, came about. So I'm just going to quickly read it out. When we decided to brew the beer to celebrate our 5th birthday, there was always only going to be one name to call it: Pointy Shoes. Bourbon barrel-aged Imperial stout. This is the biggest beer we've ever brewed at, and it says on here 11%, but it's actually 12.25%. So I'm sure that they wrote this spiel and then realized that the ABV of the beer was going to be a lot higher, which is all good news for us, but interesting to point out. This is a beer to celebrate being an independent, an independent beer for an independent mind. Back in 2014, when Quincy and Simon made the decision to make their dreams a reality and open Wicklow Wolf, they searched for a building that they could move into and call it their home of the Wicklow Wolf. Former bakery in the heart of Bray ticked all the boxes. Simon set up a meeting to meet the landlord to secure the premises. Uncharacteristically for Simon, he was early to the meeting, and the landlord said that if your business partner turns up in pointy shoes, you can both forget it. Luckily, Quincy worked in the big corporate drinks world, where on leaving he would never wear a suit. On leaving, he vowed never to wear a suit again, and with them pointy shoes. It was at that moment, and that phrase that helped to shape what the two lads wanted to build: an independent brewery without any hints of pointy shoes. And what they stand for 5 years on, still no pointy shoes. Okay, so that's a lot to read through, but there will only ever be a can like that, so I'm kind of loath to open it, but I will open it at some stage, but not today. You might have noticed that I have some strange shelving on my barrel today. Later on, maybe this week or maybe next coming week, I'm going to release a 3 or 4 part video showing you what I've done to the barrel. And stay tuned for that. I might try, if I can, to retro link it to this video, but it's pretty cool. So under here, I just don't want to show you this time round because we're doing a beer review, but there is like a whole series of videos coming up on what I've done with this barrel. It's a red wine barrel, but that's all I'll say. Let's crack this beer open and see what it is. So bourbon barrels, they are one-time used American oak barrels. And what happens to them after that is they can no longer be used. That bourbon has the strict sort of law. You can only add your rye whiskey, corn rye whiskey, into the barrel once, and then after that it can no longer be used as a bourbon barrel, which is maybe it can be just called a different whiskey, but a lot of those barrels consequently get shipped out across the world, where whiskey, Scotch whiskey, and Irish whiskey and whiskies all over the planet. They then fill these bourbon barrels, which are perfectly good. They fill them with their own whiskey and mature them for several years. And upon receiving them, they usually, regenerate the barrels by re-charring it or burning them. And what happens is a lot of bourbon whiskey, we'll say, is made with corn and rye, and that's totally different. Or we'll call it bourbon, but that's totally different to what proper whiskey in Scotland and Ireland is made of, which is normally a combination of malts, but it's normally very close to 100% barley. So there's different flavors and you get different things from it. The charring process that happens inside a barrel is all to do with releasing some of the chemicals. The charring chemicals react with the beer that goes in there, and vanillin is one of those components. Rye in bourbon barrels adds to the spiciness of it. So anytime you have a bourbon barrel aged beer, you are going to get this spicy, sharp sort of fiery note in the background, which you can very easily taste if you have a Jack Daniels. But if you have it in a beer, it presents itself very much like coconut, very much like a spicy sort of Caribbean coconut idea. Not too dissimilar to rum, but it's obviously a totally different thing. But anyway, that's a little bit. So when you add an Imperial stout to that, you're going to get all of these very complementary, you know, your vanillas, your grasses, your coconuts, caramels, all these complementary flavors from a barrel. And then you get the actual barrel itself, this sort of woody oak. That's all I'm going to pour in there for a minute. And it all comes together just to make Imperial stout just better. I love Imperial stouts that aren't barrel aged, but when you get a barrel aged one, they are so great. So this is a special beer review because this marks my 50th beer review. I've done a couple of tutorials in there, so I've got a few extra videos up, but this is my 50th one, and I did say I was going to open up a special beer, and luckily I got hold of this beer just yesterday. So cheers, that's 50 videos, and we'll get another 50 up pretty quick from here on in. And on top of that, we have just reached yesterday 2,500 views on my video. So I really want to give a shout out and a thank you to you. You know who you are, all you people watching these videos. It means a lot to me that you're doing that, because you know, I love sitting here just chatting away to a camera lens, but it's nice to know that on the other side of it, there's someone actually watching the video. But I'd probably just sit here doing that anyway. But thank you very much and cheers. You might or may not notice there's some crazy RGB lights in there. All the cool kids have them, so I thought I'd better get one. And we've got the steins in there, and we're just in the process. We get the barrel done. We've got a whole brand new lighting setup now, and the microphone is lovely, a mic on me. That's all good and well. So we're set up for the winter evenings. It's already dark outside, but you can't see that. It's quite well, it's not pitch dark, but it is fairly dark light outside now, but the lights I have shining down on me now making this all possible, so that's cool. So let's check this beer out. I am thirsty, really thirsty, coming off the back of a cold, so hopefully I can get all the aromas, but let's have a look at this beer. We have a dark tobacco, dark stained tanned head foam on here, just about a half a finger, exactly what you'd expect for this style. I didn't expect a huge big head on it. You know, some of that stripped away from when you get that spiciness and all of those chemicals. They do take away a little bit from the foamy head. Chemicals, what I'm saying, is in the barrel now, not anything that's not natural. All those just the different composite chemicals from the oak staves themselves. Let's see what the aromas are like. So I'm getting a lot of bourbon, which is really nice. Sometimes it's quite hard to get the bourbon flavors out of a barrel, whereas it's a lot easier to get them out of a Scotch whiskey barrel. Straight away, it's very, very noticeably, obviously coconut and vanilla on the nose. You can smell, I know I can't smell a spiciness, but I can smell that rye spiciness going on in there. Bit of got much of the beer, more of the barrel is what I'm getting on the nose. I give it one quick last spin and see if I get anything else, but it really, really is showing up bourbon in this, so that is a good start. Coconut, a bit of oak. Oh, it's just so good. It's actually doing my nasal passages a world of good. Cheers, Slancher. Thanks for keeping watching the videos. It really means a lot. I appreciate it. Let's get into this and have a taste. Okay, so the first thing I get is that nice, really rounded, warming feeling. That's the buzz of the bourbon that's coming in and out those staves as the beer, as the staves are opening and closing, when the beer is in there and maturing. It's been in there for 12 months, I believe. So it's all the time, it's absorbing the flavors from the oak and the aromas from the oak and the flavors from the bourbon that's been in there before. So you get this really nice warming feeling and the warming sensation in the mouth with like a bit of a coconut and a bit of a spiciness. That spiciness is usually the rye, because it sure as heck doesn't come from the corn that this is made from. There's a nice, pleasing caramel overtone coming in here that sort of builds on the spice. You get a bit of spice and you get a bit of coconut and you get a bit of vanilla, and you also get a bit of caramel sweetness to round it all out. And then I'm going to kill that fly. Get out. And then on top of it, what you get is you're dead. And then on top of that, what you get is the roasted malts. There's like a kind of a fairly mellow coffee sort of note to it. A bit of chocolate, bit of coffee, a bit of all of that dark roastiness going on in there. The roastiness is kept fairly in check, which I like. So it's not too high in like sharpness or acidic. There's a bit of fruitiness coming through. You know, it presents itself a little bit like not fruit flavors, but fruity overtone to this Impy. Yeah, lots of dark fruits, lots of dark sort of dried fruits, maybe a bit of raisin, bit of fig, a bit of honey in there as well. There's some kind of like a honey element to it. I know that you can get from bourbon itself, you can get like a honey sort of caramel and honey sort of flavors coming through. So I think a bit of that has permeated from the bourbon barrels into the beer, which I like. So that's nice. No hot character. What's I don't notice bitterness in this at all. There may be a tiny bit in the background, but really it's all about the character of the barrel, supported by a bit of roasty malts going on. Not too thick, like this is a 12% beer, it's not too thick in the mouthfeel. So that's interesting. I think maybe the barrel sort of plays a part in that. 6th anniversary special. Let's have another sniff. Yeah, really nice coconut spice in here. I know I keep coming back to it, but that is the general tone of this beer. It really feels like it's a winter warmer on, you know, like It's a palate warmer. You take a big sip of this and you feel like, you know, this is a real winter night beer. I can't wait to have the second one, but right maybe in March when it's, or February, when it's absolutely freezing cold by the fire, I might crack open the second one. I might even do a part 2 of it at that stage and try and see are there any differences in the beer. I think this beer is really, really nice, really enjoyable. A nice way to mark the 6th anniversary. I would never have guessed that was 12%. I would have thought it would have been a bit thicker, a bit more viscosity. Yeah, it's not hanging around the sides, but I think the barrel, I think if a 12% Imperial, like a pastry stout, or maybe not pastry stout, but an Imperial stout, I think you get deep, viscous, oily brown lacing left on the side, you know, and a smear of oil. But here it's sort of like taken away, and I think that's what I notice out of a lot of barrel-aged, heavier stouts. And I guess that's the resins, the caramelization of the staves, because all the staves have been cooked, and the sugars, natural sugars in the oak, the American oak, is at that stage they caramelize. You're getting a chemical reaction that happens when the beer is put in there and it's set down for 12 months. I think it thins it out a touch. But I really like that, so it makes it really drinkable. Really nice beer. Enjoyable beer, very enjoyable. I think that's going to do it for me. I think I prefer this one. Have not had it for, I had one with some friends about a month or so ago, and I remember it was really nice and mellow and a bit thicker. Of the two, I think I prefer the original, but I really have enjoyed this beer, and I'm kind of like happy that I've got two, that I can put one down to cellar, and we'll see what it's like in 6 to 12 months time, and we'll be back. Okay, so cheers, Slancha. Keep watching the videos, like, subscribe, hit all those buttons, and help me out. I'm at 130 subscribers now. Be really cool if by the end of this year I could hit 200 subs. Share the video, do whatever you like, but if you're getting value from it, give it a tap on the like. It all helps. And yeah, cheers, Slancha, goodbye, it's on to the next one. And then